Hi, I'm Jeanette with Me Time. Today we're doing a tutorial on the Countdown to Christmas pillow in the Bella Box. The Bella Box is part of Me Time, which is a company that delivers machine embroidery projects right to your door as a subscription. Today we're going to be getting everything prepped and ready for our pillow. Then we'll be stitching it, and I'll be showing it to you in the 5x7 hoop. There is a file for an 8x12 hoop that you can do it all at once, but we do provide the 5x7 files so that you can stitch it in your 5x7 hoop. And then we will be adding the zipper in and finishing off the pillow with the piping. Let's start by prepping the materials that we need for the pillow. You'll need to print out the template for the circle, and you'll want to make sure that this 1-inch box measures to be 1 inch. So I would get out my ruler and just measure and make sure that box really is 1 inch so that your circle template is the right size. And you want to just go ahead and cut it out on that outer line. And I have this one already prepped and cut, ready to go. And then you'll just need to take a large piece of stabilizer or paper. Either way, it doesn't matter. You just need a large piece that's 14 by 14 inches. And this kind of rolls up a little bit. So if you wanted to tape your paper to your table surface so that it doesn't move, you can feel free to do that. I'm just gonna put a couple pieces of tape to hold this in place. And then we're gonna take this template, it's a quarter of our circle, so we're gonna be tracing it 4 times to make the whole circle. So be sure to start with your template kind of tucked down in one corner, and then you're just gonna take a pen and hold your template in place and just trace that very outer edge of your circle. So then you're going to repeat that, create an entire circle. Okay, I've traced all 4 sections of my circle, and I just want to do a quick measurement to double check that the diameter of my circle is 12 inches. And so it's 12 inches, so we're good to go. We're just gonna set this aside and work on the pocket. Next, we're gonna start with the pocket piece. I've taped it in place, and this pocket is in the back of your pillow, so that when you open the back, it's this piece of white fabric here. There's a place for you to put all of your extra numbers that go in your countdown circle in the back of your pillow. So we're just making the template for that. So we're going to trace this template 2 times to make half of a triangle, and then we're going to add just a little bit to the side. So when you start it, make sure you tuck just to one side, and you're going to trace this 2 times. And rotate and trace one more. Now we're going to take a ruler, and we're just going to add 2 inches. So we're just going to measure up from that line 2 inches and draw another line. And then we're just going to connect straight up from the edges of our circle. And then we're ready to cut that out on the outer line. We're going to go ahead and cut out both circle templates. Okay, so we've prepped both our circle and our pocket template, so we can go ahead and set those aside. We're ready to start stitching our pillow. I have the background fabric and the circle applique fabric prepped and ready to go. They both have fusible backing added to the back. So we are ready to hoop our stabilizer. So I have my sticky back tearaway stabilizer ready to go. This stabilizer has a paper side that's kind of shiny, and the dull side is the stabilizer. So we're going to loosen our hoop, but loosen it just a little bit more than you normally would. So we're loosening our hoop And we're placing our stabilizer shiny side up in the hoop. And then we want to make sure that we're aligning our hoop marks and then just pushing it down in. Takes just a little bit to kind of crinkle that paper layer to get that hoop in. I just like to make sure that it's set all the way inside, and I'm just tightening my hoop. And then I love using a sewing pin to score the paper. We need to get rid of the paper to expose the stabilizer inside. So I'm just going to use this pin and draw some lines. Draw some more lines on the corners. Paper peels right off, exposing the sticky part of that tearaway stabilizer. So now we're ready to load the file into the machine, and we're gonna stitch machine step 1, which is a crosshair. It will not stitch in the center of the hoop, but it will allow us to place the fabric centered on the whole design. So I'm gonna go ahead and stitch that first crosshair step in the file. So we have stitched the crosshairs onto the stabilizer, and you can see this is not in the center of my hoop, which is perfect. That's right where it needs to be. So we're going to take our background fabric and we're going to fold it in half both ways. So I'm folding it right sides together here, just kind of finger pressing this edge and then folding it in half again to get the center right here. So then we're placing it in the hoop so that I have my folds, my 2 folds towards the smaller part, the top of the hoop, and the 1 fold towards the center. So I'm just gonna align those so it goes right in the center of that crosshair. Kind of push here to get my fabric to stick to the hoop, and then I'm just gonna unfold it and kind of smooth as I go. So from that center point, just smoothing the fabric and smoothing it out. So I'm using that center crosshair just aligned with my finger press fold. And now we are ready to stitch the next machine step. Okay, so we've stitched our circle placement line. We're going to take our piece of fabric with the fusible backing and place it completely covering that circle. And we're going to tape it in place. And we're going to stitch the tack down line. We've stitched the tack down line. We're going to go ahead and remove the tape and trim close to the stitch line. Okay, we're ready to stitch the satin stitch outline to the circle. Next, we're going to stitch the decorative lines, and we changed our thread color. So we've stitched the decorative lines. We're ready to place the clear vinyl for the pocket on the countdown circle. So we want to take our clear vinyl. We're going to use the decorative lines to help us know where to place the vinyl. So the very bottom of these decorative lines, we're just going to line the vinyl up right underneath those lines. This half of the circle does not have any vinyl on it. We just needed that width to be able to add both letters in. So the vinyl only needs to go as high as those decorative lines. And then we're going to tape the vinyl in place. And one right in the center. And now we are ready to stitch the tack down line to the vinyl. Okay, we just finished stitching the tack down line to the vinyl. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the 3 pieces of tape. We're going to leave this piece of tape and we're just going to trim close to the circle around the outer edge of this stitch line. Okay, now we're ready to continue following the directions and all the way through our registration marks so that we'll be able to continue hooping parts B and parts C to finish the pillow front. We have all of machine embroidery part A stitched out, and you can see we have our registration marks stitched in a visible color. We've removed it from the hoop and it is ready to go to the next part. So I have hooped more of the sticky back tearaway stabilizer and scored it to reveal the sticky back stabilizer. So we're ready to go. I have the second part loaded in my machine and we're going to stitch those registration marks directly onto the stabilizer. So I've stitched the registration marks for the next part. And the part that's going to be a little bit different that you need to understand, going from the first hoop, our fabric was oriented this way in the hoop. But now to do the next two parts, we're actually rotating it and we're gonna hoop the fabric going this direction to be able to add the words and the designs on the side. And so it's these two registration marks that will be aligning with the two registration marks I've stitched in my hoop. So to start that process, we're gonna go ahead and turn our hoop to the back and we're going to take our thumbtack, and might be actually a little easier to show you on the front of the hoop here, what I'm aiming for. But I want to make sure that my thumbtack is coming right through this stitch, the hole in the stabilizer that's stitched right there on that top of that T. So on the back of the hoop, that's what I'm looking for, is the point of my thumbtack coming right up through that hole that was poked in the stabilizer. So I don't want to add a new hole in the stabilizer. I'm just trying to stick it in the hole that was already poked through with the embroidery machine. And now I'm just going to place a piece of tape to hold those thumbtacks in place on the back of my hoop. All right, so I have both of those poking up. You can see they're coming right through that hole in the stabilizer that was created when they were stitching those. And again, I have my first part, and it's these two registration marks that we're going to be lining up with these two registration marks. And again, we're trying to go through that hole right where that stitch was created in both of those parts. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I kind of try and stick my fingers close to where the hole is to help guide. And I just want to try and get it right in that hole. You can see I'm really close to that hole. So then same thing down here, just trying to guide it right in that hole. That was better. I might try this one again. Oh, there we go. So those two right in those holes, and then I'm just gonna lay this out and smooth this in place so that it's completely stuck to that sticky back stabilizer. And then the next thing you're gonna do, which is really important, is you're gonna remember to take those thumbtacks out. So now that I have this fully adhered, I'm gonna turn my hoop to the back. I'm just gonna take off the tape and remove those thumbtacks. So this whole part is just thread changes. It's no applique, so you're just gonna follow the directions and stitch every single machine step all the way through to the end. Okay, so I have my thumbtacks removed and I'm ready to take this to the machine and finish this whole part. Okay, we've finished stitching all of hoop B. You can see all those beautiful letters And now we're ready to start part embroidery hoop C. So we're going to be using these two registration marks and lining up just the same way. So I've hooped my sticky back tearaway stabilizer, and I've removed the paper inside to expose the stabilizer. And so we are ready to stitch the registration marks. Okay, so we've stitched the registration marks and we're ready to align this onto our hoop. So I have my thumbtacks again. We're turning to the back of the hoop. And again, we're sticking our thumbtack in that stitch that's already been poked, the hole that's already been poked through the stabilizer from the embroidery machine. Trying to get exactly in that stitch. And then taking a couple pieces of tape to help hold those down and in place. Turning our hoop over, and we have the two thumbtacks poking up, and we have our pillow, and we're going to align it with these two registration marks. So again, just one at a time. I'm going to turn this so they're a little closer to me, and we are just trying to get that as close as we can to that exact stitch. Okay, so we've smoothed it all out. The next most important step is to remove those thumbtacks from the back. So we're going to turn our hoop to the back, and we're going to remove the tape and the thumbtacks from the back. Okay. Now we're ready to take this to the machine and follow our instructions and change thread for all of the machine steps until the end of the design. Perfect, so we've finished stitching out the rest of hoop C, and we've removed our registration marks. So we're ready to just set this aside and begin the back. We're ready to add the back onto our pillow. We're going to start with our two back pieces and our pocket piece, and we're going to go ahead and take our back pieces and iron down 1/4 of an inch and then another 1/4 of an inch, and then we're going to go ahead and top stitch that to make just a clean finished edge. And we're going to do that on both pieces of our back fabric, and then we're ready to add the zipper. So I have a zipper already finished, but we're just gonna line up those two pieces with the finished edge underneath the zipper, so you can see inside of the zipper be nice and finished edges. We're placing that zipper on top. We're just making sure that the pull and the stop are outside of our stitch areas. We're just gonna stitch the zipper down to both sides. So this is what we want our back piece to look like, and it's ready to go. Now we're ready to cut out the pillow pieces. So we're going to be using our prepared template. We're going to line this up with the center, and the center of this design is the center of the circle. So we're going to place the crosshairs as centered as possible. And then we're going to be using our pin, and we are just tracing this circle template on to the whole pillow front. So we're just going to trace this all the way around. Okay, we've traced that circle all the way around. We're going to go ahead and take our front, set it aside. We're going to do the same thing with the back. So we're going to lay out our back, and we're going to go ahead and just line up one of these lines just with our zipper teeth. So right here on the end, I can see that my line is lined up with my zipper teeth. And we're gonna go ahead and trace this one. Now with the pillow back, we're gonna trace 1/8 of an inch away. So it's not very far, but you can see just a little bit further out. The reason we need to do that is so that it will line flat with the front. We're gonna add our piping on the front, and it's gonna add just a little tiny bit of bulk to the front of the pillow. So this 1/8 inch makes up for that bulk. So just a tiny little bit outside, all the way around. And I'm just gonna rotate this. So easier for me to see as I'm tracing that extra 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so we've traced our pillow back. Now we're going to open the zipper so it's part of the way open, and we're just going to take our tape and we are just going to tape those zipper ends so they stay just where they need to be. Now we're ready to do our pocket fabric. So we have that placed, and we're just going to use our pocket template, place it on, and we're just going to again trace directly around the template. And the next step is cutting out all 3 pieces that we just traced. So there's the pocket. With the zipper, we want to make sure the zipper pull is inside of our circle area before cutting it out. So our back is completely ready. Now to cut around the front piece. So we have the front all ready to go, and now we're ready to start the piping process. So the piping in the kit comes like this. We are going to go ahead and just do a snip every 1/2 inch, and we don't want to go clear up past the sewn line right here into the thicker part of the piping. We need to do this just so it will curve and go around the circle. So go ahead and snip about every 1/2 inch. Be careful not to cut that stitch line. Okay, now we're ready to pin the piping onto our circle. We want to start down in the bottom area so that your seam in the piping will kind of be hidden towards the bottom of your pillow. So you're going to place your piping with the edge of the piping about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of the pillow, and you want the actual piping part, the thicker part, towards the center of your pillow. So you're going to leave about 1 inch, and then you're just going to start clipping your piping in place all the way around the whole circle. Okay, so I've clipped it all the way around. We want our piping to overlap about 1 inch. So I need to trim just a little bit of the piping, so I only have 1 inch overlap. Now what we're going to do is kind of pull back the red ribbon part to expose the cording that's inside, just for the last little inch. Get it harder. I'm just kind of grabbing and holding on that inside and trying to pull until I get enough of a grip. And it's easy to just slide that red right down. Okay. So you can see I have the inside of the piping exposed, and since we had 1 inch overlap, we're just going to trim off that inch on either side to get rid of the excess bulk. Then we just scooch the length of piping down so we just have a skinny part on the end, and that will help our join be that much nicer. So what we're going to do is take our first edge, and right at the end of where we've cut the piping, we're just going to make a little 90-degree fold, pulling that excess piping just down and out of the way, having it come straight off the pillow. And then the same thing with our other side. We're going to have it also come with its fold and come right off the edge of the pillow, so that overlaps just that little tiny bit. Just like that. So we have the piping as a continuous line. And now we are ready to sew our piping down. Now when you take this to your sewing machine, it's going to be easier to sew right next to this piping if you're using a zipper foot on your sewing machine. Okay, so we're ready to take this to our machine with our zipper foot on. Just lower. There we go. We're ready to stitch around the whole circle, right? Just right next to that piping. So we stitched our piping. We can go ahead and just trim off our excess piping tape on there. And now we are ready to get the pillow pocket ready to go. So I have the pillow pocket, and we just want to go ahead and make a clean finish edge on the top of it. So we'll be folding down 1/4 inch and ironing it in place, and then another 1/4 inch. Okay, ready to do just a nice top stitch on top of this pocket. Okay, so our pocket piece has this clean finish stitch across the top. So we're ready to assemble the pillow. So we're going to start with the pillow front. We want it right side up, and then we're going to take the pillow back, and we're going to put it right side down with the zipper teeth and the zipper pole facing the front of the pillow. And then we're going to take the pocket piece, and we're placing it right side down. And when you line up, just line it up around the bottom, it's going to cover that zipper, which is what it's supposed to do. So let it cover the zipper, and then we're just going to go ahead and so we're going to go ahead and clip these in place around the entire edge. And then the last thing we need to do to be ready to take it to the sewing machine is we're just going to go ahead and tape right across the edges of the top edges of the pocket. We just don't want those getting flipped over in the sewing machine, because we're actually going to turn it upside down, and we're actually going to be stitching it in this direction. And this line that we just sewed, sewing the piping down, we can follow that line exactly around the whole pillow and stitch again. Okay, so we've stitched all the way around twice. We can go ahead and remove the tape from our pillow pocket. And removing tape, I like to just help support right along that stitch line with my fingernail, and then it tears off really easily. Okay, so that's all the tape. And then what we need to do is clip the curves. So we're going to be making a cut just in the seam allowance about every 1/2 inch around the entire pillow. That's so when we turn it right side out, that edge will be smoother. You notice when I was stitching too, there's a couple places where I had a little bit more back showing. That's totally fine. Remember, we made that template when we traced around the back, we made it that 1/8 inch bigger. That's just so we had a little more leeway room, and that bump in the piping, we're just accounting for all of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and clip about every 1/2 inch. And I'm just making small cuts in just to the stitches, but I don't wanna cut my stitches. You can actually cut little V's in your stitches. That might help it lay just a little bit flatter in the spots. So sometimes I'll clip one line and come back with the other half of the bee. Makes it a little easier. Right here by the zipper, make sure you're not cutting on those zipper teeth. Now we're ready to turn it right side out. So we're just going to go through the pocket and then through our open zipper to turn to the right side of the pillow. So here's the pocket, flip to the right side, and then through the opening in the zipper. I can even scooch that back a little more. If I pull the pole up, it slides easier. So then I'm just exposing the front of the pillow. So it's really cute work. You can see here is our pillow. It's ready to put in the pillow insert. Okay, we're ready to put in our pillow insert into our pillow. So we're just going to turn it to the back, open it up, and now the pocket needs to stay with the zipper fabric. So we're putting our pillow inside. So the pocket is still on this side of it. So we want to put in just the bottom half first, and then we kind of squish that top half, and then it slides right into the pillow. So then we have this pocket to be able to put in all of our numbers. So you can do up the zipper. You can see our countdown to Christmas pillow. It's all done. So then you're just going to follow the directions to create the numbers. And you can see we've made lots of duplicate numbers for you, so you can actually count down from 76 days down to Christmas. So you'll just stitch these out and then you'll just trim them. So then you'll have all sorts of small little numbers, and you can just store those in your pocket on the back. So then every day when you need to change the number, all of the numbers are right there with you in the back of your pillow. Thanks for joining. Be sure to like and subscribe for more video tutorials. We have 2 other video tutorials with this Bella box, the surprise snap pouch, and the polar bear treat pouch. Now go and enjoy some well-deserved me time.